Now on 4, Leslie Bremnes begins a weekly journey into the fascinating world of herbs.
Herbs are plants which serve and delight us. Early in our history, this definition, this idea of useful plants, included much more of the plant kingdom than it does today. Every plant was considered a child of the earth and therefore worthy of respect. Around 400 years ago, we still spoke of herbs in 4 broad groups. We had pot herbs that were used to add bulk to the cooking pot. This included plants like carrots and onions because the word vegetable didn't come into common usage until around 200 years ago. There were sweet herbs that were used as flavorings, and it included the rose. And other herbs like sweet marjoram. Salad herbs were eaten in salads, with petals of the marigold, and herbs with lovely old names like skirret root and red orac leaves. The last group were simples, herbs used as medicinal remedies, and they included chamomile, peppermint, and the wild poppy. In the last century, when science began to demystify plants by analyzing and extracting their components, our relationship with nature diminished, and the meaning of the word herb was reduced to just a few seasoning plants: parsley, sage, mint, rosemary, and thyme. Now changing attitudes are making us begin to rediscover the wide range of plants there are with herbal uses. Even in the hedgerow we find several, and growing in this damp ditch here is the lovely almond-scented flowers of meadowsweet. This was Queen Elizabeth I's favorite strewing herb, and an early painkiller. Higher up there's the medicinal honeysuckle, and the delicate wild rose, which will give us rose hips later on in the season. There's the yellow spires of agrimony, which is another medicinal herb. And here we have horseradish with its large leaves and rather curious flowering stem. The grated root of this herb gives us that popular condiment to have with our roast beef. In gardens, hedgerows, fields, and even motorway verges, there are an enormous number of plants with herbal uses. This native abundance of the English countryside enticed me to settle here and grow herbs. Growing near water, you might find the willow. From this tree, the pain-killing ingredient of aspirin was first taken. And growing in the water, the yellow flag iris, which gives us a dark grayish-black dye from its rhizome, or a yellow dye from its flowers. Many of our own shrubs and trees have herbal properties. The hawthorn, for example, gives us berries that are useful in a heart tonic. And the silver birch, almost every part of the tree is used. The twigs make an effective and strong broom, and they're traditionally used in a sauna. The leaves are infused to make a tea that used to be used to treat gout. From the sap, we get a substance that can be used to make wine or vinegar. And from the bark is extracted an oil that's used to dress leather and in certain medicated soaps for some skin conditions like eczema. series aims to encourage you to enjoy a wider range of herbal plants. And over the next 5 weeks, we will look at the uses of herb seeds, leaves, flowers, roots, and essential oils. A seed is the beginning and the end of a plant's cycle, and it's nature's perfect packaging. Just look at the range of seed size we have, from the tiny poppy to this very large avocado seed, to the rather lumpy shape of fenugreek, and the beautiful star anise. It's also a very sophisticated chemical computer. It has inside it all the information for creating a new plant. It knows which way is up when it falls to the ground, even if it's under the soil. It has a way of escape from its mother plant, whether it's by sticking to passing animals or drifting off into the air. It monitors the conditions around it all the time, so it knows when just the right season has arrived. And it stores enough food to get it going at the beginning so it can be independent for a while. It's this food storage that makes seeds nutritional and quite tasty. Some seed, anyhow. This is sunflower seed, which we eat just as it is, ripened. Also sweet Sicily seed. In its green, unripe stage, it's got a nutty aniseed flavor, and you can just throw it on fruit salads. It's very pleasant. And nasturtium seed, when it's unripe, just when the petals are about to drop off, this can be pickled and used as a caper substitute. We can also sprout seed for winter vegetables for use in salads and sandwiches. This is an interesting mixture with fenugreek seed, alfalfa, and fennel, and that will sprout in about 5 or 6 days. This is the more traditional mung bean, often used in Oriental dishes. And to sprout seed, you soak them in warm water for a few hours, then drain it off and put them in a dish with a muslin lid on the top so that you can still allow some air to circulate, but you keep it warm and moist. And you rinse it through with clean water twice a day, and in about 5 or 6 days you've got a good crop of sprouts to use in stir-fried dishes or even crunchy in salads. John Stevens runs Suffolk Herbs, where he grows and packages a wide range of seeds from this country and abroad. But I've been looking forward to seeing your basil collection. That's particularly attractive, that compact bush.
That is the one we call Greek basil. Lovely to grow in a pot. The Greek bus drivers have a little pot of that to give them luck, and don't they need it?
And that's the lettuce leaf?
Yes, the lettuce leaf basil from Naples. Got a lovely strong flavour.
And several,
and
the lemon basil.
Yeah, we've got the lemon basil, and that's almost as good as a lemon verbena. Wonderful. And there we've got a cinnamon scented basil, an anise scented basil, and over there the little delicate one, the holy basil or temple basil, which is planted round the Indian temples.
You've just harvested this Angelica?
Yes, only just been harvested about a week ago. As you can see, it's got the indicator paper in there to see how much moisture there is in the seed. It needs to be dried down a bit more, and to do that we'll put it into a sealed drum with silica gel bags. And the indicator paper in that one is bright blue, so that's nice and dry, and that's how we keep it for long storage life.
In curious shape, the seed.
Well, we'll have a look at the seed. This is the pot marigold or calendula, which is a good medicinal herb.
I like it in salads too.
Yes, well, it can be used in salads. The seed is a rather interesting shape. That's the husk there, and that's the little seed with little spines on it.
Does that germinate easily?
Yes, that germinates very easily. A couple of weeks, sown in the spring.
And the Angelica?
Now, the Angelica's a little more tricky. What we do here, after it's harvested and dried down, we put it in hermetically sealed little foil sachets. Then, of course, it'll keep for quite a few years.
So when people open a foil packet, the seed will probably germinate fairly quickly?
Yes, and they should sow it straight away and not keep the seed out of the packet for too long.
And the oregano? This tiny, tiny seed.
Well, we go to the other end of the spectrum with the oregano because it's so minute. And, of course, that seed keeps for a very long time.
Extraordinary that life information can be stored in such a tiny seed.
I mean, that'll keep for 5, 10, maybe longer. And it comes from the labiate family, which is the family that contains the sage and a lot of the herbs, sage, thyme, mints and so on. And the characteristic of this family is that the seeds do have a very long life.
Seeds have an interesting range of dispersal, don't they? This meadow
Well,
cranesbill.
seed dispersal is fascinating, yes. The meadow cranesbill, well, there it is in flower. And of course the seeds will form in there once the flower's dropped off. And then here we've got it, well, that one is gone. You can see the little spring. It has 4 seeds in the capsule there, and this long piece here acts as a spring, and there's the seed actually sprung off the plant. Here you've got the 4 seeds before they've sprung out. There we are, one went then. So that's how they disperse, and they sort of go for several feet.
And some of the other methods.
And then this one here, which is a beautiful plant, the pulsatilla or pasque flower, that has a little tail on it,
Like a tadpole.
and that'll come off when it's ripe and just sort of blow away in the wind.
Nature's best. And of course, I've experienced these sticky burrs, sticking to stockings.
Well, hound's tongue, tiny little spines on it, and that'll stick to anything, passing animals, so that's easily distributed.
You have a collection of unusual seeds from the Orient and North America as well, don't you? I was particularly interested in that perilla.
Well, we've got the perilla, which comes in either green or there's a lovely red one. We get it from Japan.
And they serve it with raw fish, don't they? For a particular reason.
That's right, yes, it's served with raw fish to make sure that you don't actually get poisoned by the meal.
Does it help kill the parasites that
Yes,
are sometimes
yes, that's
present
right.
in raw fish? And what's that?
Then this one here is a plant, seed from a plant called Echinacea angustifolia, which is the purple coneflower, which is a native flower of North America. Very pretty plant. That's a very valuable medicinal plant.
We've got a good collection of the culinary classics here. Rosemary,
Yes, that's right.
sage, and this is the proper French tarragon, is
That's
it?
the real French tarragon, and of course you can't grow that from seed.
Even though that's got flowering heads on it?
Well, flowering heads, but they don't produce any seed. And the one you can grow from seed is the Russian tarragon, which grows twice the height and is rather weedy and not a very good flavour.
So for cooking it's important to have the French
Oh yes,
tarragon.
absolutely important.
There's a really healthy looking crop of parsley down here, the 2 kinds.
Yes, the plain leaf French parsley in the middle, very strong flavour, and then of course the decorative curly parsley.
And that's the plant in seed.
That's the plant going to flower and into seed, and of course the best way to grow it is to let it go to seed and let the seed drop, and the seedlings will come up very thick.
I suppose that's the question I'm most frequently asked, is how do you get parsley to germinate?
Well, everyone has a problem with parsley, and the trouble is really that they try and grow it far too early in the season. Wait till the soil's warmed up. The best time to sow it's in August, and then it'll come up in a couple of weeks and you'll have it through the winter and into the spring and summer.
And so if they're doing it in a seed tray, they should put it in the warmth.
Yes, when you want to keep it very warm, put it in the airing cupboard or in a propagator. About 80 degrees Fahrenheit is about the right temperature, and then it'll come up in a couple of weeks.
So that's much quicker than the traditional 7
Oh
weeks.
yes, you don't need to wait 7. No.
Good. Can we see a field?
Yes, you can.
Pork kebabs barbecuing on juniper branches. And here we have some prepared. You can see on substantial skewers that juniper branches give it a delicious smoky flavor. The marinade that they were prepared in has a lemon juice and white wine base with juniper berries, cumin seed, and slices of fennel with peppercorns and a bit of parsley. I suppose the most popular way seeds are used is in curries. And a normal curry has coriander, fenugreek, poppy seed, cardamom, black pepper, occasionally aniseed and celery seed. And we have here prepared some Indian meatballs or kofta, and in their curry sauce is the coriander, cumin and cardamom with lovely green and red making up a lovely color scheme there. And then our main dishes. I can't tell you how wonderful this smells. It's a crown of lamb that's been roasted with garlic and fennel seed. On the top is dill potatoes, just with the flowers of the dill. There's garlic bulbs that have been roasted separately and broad beans with toasted fennel seeds just sprinkled on the top. As an accompanying dish, we have button mushrooms with coriander seed and parsley. And then the sweets. We have here a cardamom-scented rhubarb with yogurt on the top and 3 green cardamom seeds as decoration. I love rhubarb dishes. Then there's this spectacular orange salad. It's sprinkled with sweet Sicily seeds and it's flavored with kumo, which is a liqueur that's made with cumin and caraway seed. Mustard is an example of a complex seed with many uses. To begin with, we grow 3 different varieties. There's the black seed, which has the most pungency, but it's rather an ungainly plant, reaching 7 or 8 feet. So most growers choose the brown seed, which has 70% of the pungency of the black, but is a much tidier plant and easier to harvest. The third one is white mustard, which is quite different than the other 2. Mustard was a great favorite with the Romans, who called it mustard after mustum, which is their new wine that they soak the seed in, and ardens for fiery. It was such a favorite with them that they used it in almost every vegetable and meat dish they created. With unbounded imagination, they mixed it with cumin and pine kernels to serve on beans. They mixed it with coriander and mint and dates to serve on a boiled crane, and in a sauce with lovage and thyme for ostrich. They might have even painted it on their sausages. Now, mustard seed can also be used to deodorize pans. If you bruise a few seed, put them in a pan, shake it around for several seconds, and then rinse it out with boiling water. The same principle can be used if you have a smell on your hands from cutting up onions or garlic. When your hand's moist, put some powder on it and rub it a bit, and then rinse it off with as hot water as you can tolerate. You can even have a deodorizing foot bath along the same principles. Mustard has the ability to bring blood to the surface, which is why it's used in poultices. And this ability to rouse the system to activity made people think it would be very useful in love potions. So it was included along with caraway seed, which was also thought to prevent departures. And even today, pigeon fanciers will include a piece of bread with caraway seed on it in their dovecotes because they swear tame pigeons will always return if there's caraway seed bread there. Some other seeds useful around the house include aniseed, which is excellent in a mousetrap, much better than cheese, and a couple for dyeing. The seeds of fenugreek give us a yellow dye, while the seed heads of this interesting herb called sweet Joe Pye give us a pinky red dye. Many herb seeds also contain a high percentage of oils, and this is extracted by a pressing process to give us a range of oils with many uses. I suppose the most important is culinary, and if you're given the choice, choose an oil that's cold pressed because it's said to have the highest nutritional content. This is olive oil, and the word oil actually comes from the word olive. It's very useful for absorbing the flavors of other herbs and spices, so it makes a good seasoning oil. It's not actually pressed from the seed, but more from the fresh, ripe fruits. But the seed of sunflower gives us this very good all-round cooking oil, and the seeds of hazelnut and these 2 different types of walnuts, a range of cooking oils with a distinctive flavor that are very nice in salad dressings and some other special dishes. The Chinese often feature sesame oil. This is 2 different types here. Some oils are also used in cosmetics, and this grapeseed oil and this sweet almond oil are both valued by aromatherapists who use it in their massage because it's got a very light texture and doesn't leave a sticky, heavy feeling. And finally, we've got linseed here, which is used in the paint and varnish industry, and of course by fine artists, oil painters. And the growing of linseed gives us beautiful fields of blue flowers. Of beautiful wild flowers. This is where you grow your crops for the seed packets.
That's right. We've got 5 acres here of mostly native wild plants and some herbs.
Now, what else do you have growing in this field? The feverfew down there?
Yes, there's a long row of the white-flowered feverfew, very valuable medicinal plant, of course.
Oh, for migraines.
Migraine, yes, and arthritis.
And most of these wildflowers have had some usage, usually medical, in their history, haven't they?
Oh yes, I mean most of them are medicinal. We've got yarrow and self-heal, to name 2 of them.
And that lovely yellow flower, that's St. John's wort?
Yes, that's right, and that's a very valuable medicinal plant.
And those gorgeous yellow flowers of mullein?
Yes, the mullein, another medicinal plant.
Nice striking plant in the herb garden.
Oh, it's a beautiful plant to have in the garden. Yes, very architectural.
And these field scabious? How do you collect the seed from these?
Well, that is one of the more time-consuming ones, and as you can see, some of the flowers are fully open, some haven't even opened yet, and then you get ones which are heads which are completely ripe, like this one. So if we pick that off, the seed all drops out of that. So somebody has to go every single day up and down this row and collect them by hand. Very time-consuming. Yeah, we'll scatter those around the field.
And you have a piece of machinery for collecting some special kinds of seeds.
I think you've nearly finished this now.
Just about.
Here's all the seed in the sock, and the reason we have to collect it with a vacuum is that these seed heads just blow away in the wind. There's the seed head there, and you can see, open my hand, and it's all gone.
And what's the name of this plant?
That's rough hawkbit. It's a meadowland plant.
You grow a special range of seed for planting along motorway verges of old meadow plants.
Yes, that's right, we do. And we've got a demonstration plot over there.
Fenugreek is of interest to medical researchers at present because of a perceived link between 3 of its traditional uses. It's been used to increase the milk of nursing mothers, and in recipes for hair restorers, and has a role to play in contraception. And the link between these 3 is that it has an ingredient in it that the body uses to make hormones. Another use for seed is fennel. It has digestive properties, and along with 3 others, aniseed, caraway, and coriander, they're called the 4 warming seeds. They were traditionally served at the end of a banquet in Roman times in a spicy cake, and this became the precursor of our rich wedding cakes and Christmas cake at the end of celebrations. Another seed with digestive properties is dill, perhaps the most famous of the group. And an infusion of dill seed is very good at the end of a rich meal for settling the stomach, and it can be used for adults and children alike. But I suppose the seed that's most well known at the moment is the seed of this beautiful evening primrose. This beautiful flower has an oil in its seed which contains gamolinolenic acid, or GLA, and this is found to be useful, especially for women. It's good for premenstrual tension and the menopause, and also for certain skin conditions, and is thought to have a role to play in helping those with muscular sclerosis. It usually opens in the evening to reveal its delicate perfume, but sometimes in the daylight as well in an older plant. The GLA has also been found in borage and even in blackcurrant pips, but the richest source is still from this beautiful evening primrose.
If you'd like to know more about the world of herbs, there's a Channel 4 book available in the shops called World of Herbs, price £5.95, or you can order it by phone. The number to ring is 0279 635 377. And the second programme in this new series can be seen at the same time next week, 9:30.